Let's start with Kristi Noem. We're going to talk about Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem. But the president is asking Hill Republicans, should he fire?
Can we talk about Iran again?
Punchbowl is reporting this morning that the president was not happy with her answer when she was asked by GOP Senator John Kennedy.
Hello, Sean Spicer. Hello.
Whether the president personally signed off on this $220 million expense to put her face all over ads across America touting what she's doing at DHS. She said that he personally signed off on it. We talked about this yesterday. Sean said that was causing some friction behind.
Don't drag him in. You do not. I mean, rule number one, like if she had put ads out that had him, it would be a different story. She put her, like you spent $220 million on your name ID, on your image, in the Trump administration. I mean, that's like saying that Scott Bessett's going to put his face on the $100 bill. What do you think Trump's going to say?
It's really fascinating. But we also said, beyond you saying that this was angering people behind the scenes, we pointed out that Kennedy's an ally of this White House. There is no way he would do this without it being either sanctioned or talking to someone in the administration. You don't just take shots at, the president's cabinet Rachel, without doing this, right?
I talked to some very senior folks over the last, since our morning episode yesterday. And I relayed the conversation like this, like growing up in Rhode Island, where allegedly there was a mafia presence. We would always hear about sanctioned hits. And I jokingly said to these folks, like, this seemed like a sanctioned hit, and they all, to a T, sort of laughed and said, yup. Like, this was not, like, when you listened, and I pointed this out yesterday, when Kennedy said, I have my research, or that doesn't comport, that means very clearly that somebody is trying to take her out and do so in a very, like, they knew what would anger the president. They knew what would upset him. There's a lot of things that he will let go that, don't, as long as you're pursuing the agenda, getting results. There's other things when you drag him into something like this. I thought, and Kennedy, by the way, you remember her first answer was, we ran this by all the legal folks. And Kennedy said very loyally, that's not what I asked. I asked if you ran it by the president, and she said yes. And by the way, again, one easy mistake. Mr. Kennedy, thank you for your question. I don't reveal my conversations with the president. Those are private. And I mean, there's an easy answer for that. But saying yes, that he signed off on you spending $220 million of your own to put ads of your face riding around in a cowboy hat.
It's also just not true. Again, I reported this in December that he was asking people how much money have gone into these ads. Like, he was concerned about the price tag. So the notion that he personally signed up, it just doesn't make sense. But Dan, I want to come to you in a second, but just very quickly, Sean, the fact that he's asking people, should he fire her? Never good when the president is doing that. And he does do this often, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a general, like, even if he really likes you, he'll say, how's Marco doing? And everyone knows that Marco's doing amazing, right? But I think the way I like to put it in Trump world is that, when this narrative starts, it's like a wave cresting. Once the wave crests, you can't get back. You're done. And it's just, now it becomes a matter of time. So the issue for Noem isn't that it's imminent by any means. And I'm not, but she is not going to be resurrected. I mean, this is like getting the diagnosis that it's not good. And you have, X amount of months left. And the question is,
Sean, let me ask both of you this then. Right now, there's a DHS shutdown and a war. So you would not want her to depart right now.
Really good point.
But you also do not want a confirmation hearing in September litigating Minnesota, ICE policy, like all of the scar tissue. You don't want to be picking at that in September. So I would think the window for her to depart is when, let's say this war wraps up in the next 30 days ish, the DHS shutdown wraps up. I would think between Easter and Memorial Day, 4th of July, she leaves, you get your replacement, and before they recess in August, you get him or her through. Right?
I think that's your first window. Your other window is basically the lame duck session right after the midterms, and try to jam it through.
They can do that quickly. They can do it quickly if they want.
Well, the only risk you have there is, let's say it's so hard to predict. Let's say you lose the Senate, okay? And you got a bunch of Republicans now coming up in 28. And they look at the White House and say, you know what, guys, Trump, you are now truly a lame duck. Like in 2 years, you're out of here. I am running with JD Vance or Marco Rubio or whomever. No, I'm going to start looking for ways to
but you're not going to vote against. I mean, like, first of all,
that department's radioactive. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think
you're rolling the dice.
You're rolling the dice. Republican. If you were a Republican and didn't vote for the DHS nominee that Trump put forward, you'd have bigger problems.
Yeah, I agree. I want to ask one other thing about her before we go to Bondi. So Democrats yesterday peppered Noem with questions about whether she was sleeping with Corey Lewandowski. Just point blank asked her. She would not answer. I am curious what you both take of that line of questioning. Typically, as a woman in politics, I hate those kinds of questions because there's always accusations about this or that woman in power, and like it's like most of the time it's BS. But this is different. Obviously, the Wall Street Journal is not going to print just anything, and they actually wrote that there were concerns about this. Is that fair game in a hearing?
I don't think so. I mean, I found it uncomfortable. I think, look, they're trying to say there's a conflict of interest because part of the allegations is that Corey's clients have received preferential treatment. So maybe, but they didn't go there. They didn't say, "Oh, you're sleeping with them," because look, and I think Sean, you and Rachel will agree. People's infidelities in Washington are very wide. There's a lot of shenanigans that go on. Members of Congress, their families aren't there, lobbyists, etc. If this becomes the standard of asking people about rumors of allegations of marital impropriety, I don't know if hearings will ever get to official business.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's and the people asking the questions need to be very careful. I'm not saying Jared Moskowitz or the other woman, but I know that with some of the Epstein stuff, there was conversations in certain circles about whether to ask certain members of Congress about their own activity. And it didn't end up happening, but it just, people need to be careful if they're going to go there.
It's definitely a slippery
slope. Be really careful.
Sure.
I'll just say this. I agree. I mean, you've really opened up a can of worms now. Where I mean, I agree with you. If you wanted to go at her like this, the way to go would have been on professional and ethics reasons. Like, do you believe that? Are you scrutinizing these contracts? What is being done? But you know, that was a real, like, you've now kind of set a new low for bar and said, okay, we're now going to talk about your personal sex life. I mean, what's next? Children? I mean, there's like, I'm sorry. Like, every time you do this, you do have to say what's next.
Yeah. And a lot of times, you raise these sorts of things publicly and you're guilty until you're proven innocent in the headlines. It's just, I mean, it's definitely a slippery slope. Okay, let's talk about Pam Bondi real quick, because a band of Republicans has joined with Democrats to subpoena her. Nancy Mace offered this subpoena. She wrote that the Attorney General's claims that DOJ has released all of the Epstein files is basically BS. She said the record is clear. They have not. Every Democrat, plus Tim Burchett, Michael Cloud, Lauren Boebert, and Scott Perry voted for this subpoena. Dan, I was going to say, is this even a win for Democrats? I guess it is a win for Democrats.
Sure. I mean, it's uncomfortable. I mean, anytime the Attorney General or Howard
Why is it uncomfortable?
Yeah, just like it was uncomfortable for Democrats to talk about the Clintons. It just brought up Bill Clinton again, and it's just you'd rather be talking about gas prices or whatever. So I think we keep saying this. Every time we think Epstein is beginning to get in the rearview mirror, it's not.
Yeah, they kick it up again.
It also keeps, it's like they're, Sean talked about the mob earlier. You're working your way up. It's still, there is one figure and his spouse sitting at the top that this is all spiraling up towards. And I cannot figure out why the White House does not get ahead of that.
Sean, why? I mean, Howard Lutnick, now Pam Bondi, at what point are they going to say, guys, enough? I guess they can't. Maybe they really can't.
Oh, sure they can. No. This is, look, I said this before. I mean, this is not, there's two things. One, the haphazard nature of this in terms of who they're calling, when they're calling them, the depositions they had with the Clintons, I'm kind of going, what are we doing here? The second thing is, if you really care about Epstein, and you really want justice for these victims, I've said this before. You've got people like Alan Dershowitz that are willing to name names, go and stuff that is begging to be called. Like, I feel like this is a sideshow to some extent, in terms of, like, if you really want to know who some of these people are, then let's get to it. But you're not even calling the right people who are willing to share information about what happened when, who was with whom. To me, I find the whole thing just not, like, embarrassing, as if you really care about the justice for the young women that were trafficked, who were brought into this world, and, by the way, the men who helped perpetrate it. I don't see how we're going about this in a way that's going to achieve that.